Shortly after the Shermans acquired the property, they were overwhelmed with not only cattle mutilation events that were occurring with their prized cows, but also poltergeist-like activity and even UFO sightings that were occurring on a pretty regular basis. They were being terrorized. Word filtered out through the community that the Shermans were experiencing this, and they were talking to their neighbors and calling people in. It caught the attention of a journalist at the Deseret News, a guy named Zach Van Eyck, who came out, was convinced that they were credible, that they were telling the truth, and wrote I think several articles detailing the accounts of UFO activity, bizarre cattle mutilations, and other strangeness on the property. Those accounts made their way to one Robert Bigelow in North Las Vegas. Mr. Bigelow had established the National Institute for Discovery Science, a separate side project and program for investigating strange phenomena, including UFOs and cattle mutilation, and he quickly flew in on his private jet, accompanied by Colonel John Alexander, and cut a deal with the Shermans, acquired the property quickly, kept Mr. Sherman on for a short period of time to help with the transition, and his team of scientists not only locked down the whole property and secured it, but they proceeded to put up observation towers with bait pens surrounded by razor wire. There are 3 observation towers located across the property that incorporate bait pens where they would use animals as biosensors to hopefully draw out whatever entities were there on the property, predator-like activity as they described it. And they proceeded to launch a rigorous investigation at the time in 1996 that continued on for years. And of course, years later, the events, the activity, the investigation at Skinwalker Ranch was brought to the attention of officials at the Pentagon. They had several visitors who had experiences, very compelling, undeniable experiences of paranormal activity. And that led to the black budget Pentagon-funded program that involved the ranch at its center, and the rest is history. But by 2013, that program had ceased for various reasons. Mr. Bigelow was actively engaged with growing his aerospace company and jumping into the private space race, as we discussed. And the ranch, to a degree, it had faded. At the time, I was led to believe that it was simply because Mr. Bigelow was just buried, was very busy with getting his beam modules and his space habitats up in orbit and ultimately on the moon and Mars, which I believe was true. But also, I've learned he ascribed negative events afflicting his family to really his ownership of the ranch.
Really?
Mr. Bigelow blamed the ranch for dark, disturbing events that happened in their lives. And it's not my story to tell. It's been told by others in the media and advisors. But owning the ranch was not a positive experience for him.
Even before him, though, this went back to Native American tribes. I mean, even in the show,
Yeah.
I believe he, correct me if I'm wrong, are they hydroglyphs? Is that what you call them?
Petroglyphs. So
Petroglyphs.
there's rock art. There's, we have a megalithic site there as well that we've investigated in the area. But there's a lot of rock art and evidence of the ancients, of the Native Americans working on the property. There's also a strange Masonic symbol that is etched into the face of the mesa that many have claimed symbolizes as above, so below. There are a lot of things relative to the history that are intriguing and a little bit ambiguous, but the Native American history, the tradition, and the fact that the Navajo tribe cursed this property as a result of conflict with the Ute tribe and the federal government is something that has been confirmed over and over by members of the community, by elders, and the ridge that runs the expanse of the property, that mesa plateau or that ridge, has been referred to as Skinwalker Ridge for a very long time. In fact, when the Bigelow team first descended on the property and set up their investigation and heard the accounts of, the curse, the Skinwalker curse, and the lore that surrounded this property, it ultimately was referred to as Skinwalker Ranch as opposed to the Utah Ranch. For a period of time, it was just simply the Utah Ranch or the Bigelow Ranch in Utah, and then took on the identity of Skinwalker Ranch as they just simply started referring to the property as such, as a result of the Native American.
What is a skinwalker?
A skinwalker is a shape-shifting demonic entity. It's essentially a Native American witch or warlock that sells their soul in exchange for immortality, the ability to take on the skin or shape-shift, oftentimes in the form of a wolf, a dire wolf, or a werewolf-like creature, but they can also take on the shape of other animals as well. And it's a topic that I found the Native American community likes to stay away from. They don't like to discuss it. To even say the name Skinwalker is negative.
Okay.
And it's a key part of their cultural tradition and history. Skinwalkers to the Native Americans in the Uinta Basin are just as real as this chair, as this bottle of Diet Mountain Dew. It's a very real part of their cultural history.